everyone, my name is Priti. I am the product manager for Konnect platform, so I focus on the platform very exclusively. We have Shub here, and Shub, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, beautiful humans. I hope you're all having a great conference. I'm Shub. I help with solutions engineering at Arcade. Very excited to have you all here today. Today, we're going to be talking about going from APIs to AI agents. You have already built out infrastructure. You've already built out APIs and services. You've already built out auth and auth infra. You've already spent money, right? You've paid for gateways, and you've also paid for headcount. But a lot of companies have these AI initiatives with a lot of money behind it, a lot of headcount, a lot of people, but most of them never get anywhere. This is because of three things. One, LLMs hallucinate, even with simple things, like asking it how many letters are there in the word strawberry. Now, when you give it tools and you add on more complexity, this complexity makes it a lot more bolder with the hallucinations. Two, when it hallucinates, you have to do the call again. Now, this eats at your token budget, and a simple task like sending an email becomes a latency-filled, expensive nightmare. Three, we have to stop building agents that require their own identity. AI should be delegates of you. AI should be a delegate of me and act on my behalf. AI should do my laundry and my dishes so that I can do art and living, not that AI does art and living so that I have to do dishes and laundry. 1, 2, 3. All three of these, the reason for them, the crux of these three issues is because we are building these AI agents as if they are human. They are not. We should never build AI agents to be human. AI agents are simply a prompt and tools. Now, we've got some popular AI agents in different flavors. ChatGPT, Claude, they're your chat-based life agents that you delegate to. You've got Cursor, Codex, Claude Code. They're your coding agents that you delegate your coding tasks to. Yes, you might speak your language to them, but you need to remember that it took an update and really good tools to make these AI agents know the number of R's in the word strawberry. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today, the tools. An AI agent is only as good as the tools that it has access to. Deep research means nothing without a web search tool. Agent mode means nothing without a browser tool. Coding agents are nothing without a file edit tool. The problem, again, and why AI agents fail, is because we give these agents tools meant for humans to use that we use deterministically, like APIs and web apps and online checkout shopping forms. Again, don't build AI agents that are bound to fail. I don't want you to build AI agents that will fail. So, friends, humans, welcome to the arcade. This is the playground where your AI agents run, the way they know how to run. Not with slides and swings and games of tag, but with action-specific tools, MCP servers, and delegated authorization. You stay in control, the agents act, together, you get things done. I love having notes because it helps me with the slide transitions. Now, let me show you. We'll start simple. We have a very simple Kong Flights API. This is a demo app that comes with the Kong platform that Smriti will go into. We will cover this, and we'll add this directly to an AI agent and make it use the API as a tool. This API is behind auth and is built for humans, right? It requires me to go and get an access token to use this programmatically. This is not the ideal scenario for an AI agent, and that's not what it's built for. Just using an API because it doesn't know how to use an API. It's built to take action. And that's why we'll get more complex. I wonder if you guys can see this. Probably not. We'll get a lot more complex, and we'll build out these action-based tools in an MCP server that the AI agent can actually use. But here's the catch. I know this looks very complex, this flow and the API routes and all of that. But with Arcade, it's one server file, about 100 lines of code, that takes care of all of your auth, all the complexity of the routing, and all of the tool calling for your LLM. With that, I'm going to pass it off to Smriti to talk through how we've got things set up in the Kong platform.
Perfect. Thank you, Shub. We all have APIs in our organizations, hundreds, thousands, you name it. We would typically, if you're familiar with Kong, either on-prem or Connect, you would have come into the gateway side somewhere. You would set up your gateway services. We have the Flights API that's available out of the box for you, so you can play around with an API while you check out what Connect has to offer. You could pick that up. You can have one route. You can have multiple routes like we built out for our API. We have plugins. We all care about who accesses our APIs, and so we apply our OIDC plugin here. This particular configuration uses Auth0. You can use any IDP that you like, Ping ID, Okta, et cetera. If you don't have an IDP and you still want to use the OIDC and get security in for your applications, you can use Kong Identity, which is available out of the box for you. So it makes it easier for you to set up the APIs and set up security for your auth. Now, once I've set this up, this is for an API, right? So if the user wants to go ahead and access it through the OIDC flow, they have their client ID, client secret, you exchange it for a token, which is short-lived, you get access. Now, that's something a human can do. If you've ever been through maybe a Robinhood to Bank of America flow, you've approved certain things for them, and you've actually gotten that, here's my credentials, give me a short-lived token, and let Robinhood and Bank of America talk to one another. But can an AI do that? Not really. So Shiv is going to show us how we could do this with the same infrastructure. You've not had to change it, but you could still use it for both your use cases.
Amazing. So building off of you, Smriti, so in that same flow where you're giving Robinhood access to your Bank of America details, right, your bank statements and so on, we want to be able to delegate that same level of authorization to the AI agents that we use. Now, we've already got OIDC set up with Auth0 that's in front of our API. Now, to make sure that an AI agent can access this over and over again, we need to set it up so that tokens are provisioned for the AI agent, and I delegate them scoped for that AI agent specifically. To start off, I'm going to jump into the Arcade dashboard. I'm going to make this a lot bigger here. And in the dashboard itself, we've got a ton of these auth apps, right? So these are apps for OAuth providers like HubSpot, Zoom, Google, things that you may have used, like if you're giving Google access to your Facebook details and so on. What we've done very simply is taken that same level of credentials that we had in Kong and just added it as an OAuth 2.0 app directly into Arcade. Now, Arcade for AI agents has that same level of access that you can delegate tokens directly to. OK, to start, we're going to start simple. So we've got this very simple Flights API, right? It has one route, which is I believe it's called /first path. It returns a list of flights that are taking off out of Heathrow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my coding platform here. I use Cursor. Now, Cursor is also, oh, no, it's not doing that. Cursor is also an MCP client. We'll keep that in mind as I go into this. So what I've done very simply with Arcade is I've taken that Flights API, and I know that it has one route. And I start off with a very simple Arcade new, and I'm going to call it Kong conference. And Arcade automatically gives me the files that I need to start building an MCP server. Again, it's just one file, right? Now, the great thing about this is it looks exactly like fast MCP does, right? Like almost completely the same. The two things I need to keep in mind are these two imports. One is context, and the second is I'm importing auth. Now, in this template file server that I get, I've got a very simple no auth tool. I've got a tool that requires secrets, and then I've got a tool that requires auth through Reddit. And Reddit here is one of those app providers that you saw on the Arcade dashboard. Remember that we also set up an OAuth 2.0 app on Arcade as well. So now that I've got this very simple server set up, I'm going to go and I'm going to take it. I'm going to get rid of this app that requires Reddit scopes, and I'm going to add in the API that I just had. Right? This is the OAuth 2. This is the OAuth 2 provider that I just added to Arcade. It's called Kong. Requires scopes OpenID, and this is that path to that first simple API that we have in Kong. So very simply, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my MCP server here, and I'm going to start it up. And now it's running on my local machine. And because Cursor is also an MCP client, like most IDEs are nowadays, because they all want to be agentic, I can add this MCP server directly into Cursor. Now, here's something super meta about this. As I am building an MCP server, Cursor can connect to that MCP server in real time, test it for me, and tell me if it's working, if it's not working, and continue building for me as it goes on. So I'm going to save it. It starts sending those requests. This is awesome. And now I'm going to try to see if I can actually use the simple MCP route that I've got. So I should see a OAuth splash for that Kong OAuth 2.0, just like I would if I was accessing an application. And then Arcade will have my credentials. So if I go back to the Arcade dashboard here, you'll see that there are no connected users, so we have no tokens here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the chat box in Cursor. Again, Cursor is also a MCP client, and I'm going to say, use the tool to get me the Kong data. And it's very simply going to pick that tool up. It's going to see that I need to auth, just like we've set up that auth server. I'm going to click this button, and I've got this auth successful page. And you can see that I've also got this token here now that is scoped correctly as I was expecting it to be scoped. And now I could tell Cursor to continue, and because this token is cached within Arcade, the subsequent requests will no longer need me, if they have the same scopes, will no longer need me to reauthorize. So if I say continue here, I hope this works. And if it doesn't, we can have Cursor automatically fix the MCP server as we're building. So that's really fun. And great, that's exactly what we were expecting. And in any other scenario, if I wanted to access this API, I would have to go provision an access token using my client ID and client secret and get the client credentials in order to be able to access this. Great, so this works, awesome. Let's go one step further. Let's make this a little bit more complicated. This is very simple. We don't want our API, our LLM to be just an API wrapper, right? We don't want it talking to just an API wrapper that is one-to-one. So we're going to add in a little bit more complexity. So what I've done is I've created a couple other routes on top of this that help me with bookings, just like you would with any flights. It helps you check in. It helps you get your seat, helps you get upgraded. It looks for flights that are available and maintains your bookings, right? This is a lot more complicated, but it gives the AI action to take, right? Book me a flight rather than find the data that I had on this API. Okay, so what I'll do is I've already got this running. I'm going to start up the MCP server for it. Now, again, with Arcade, all I had to do is I had to import that OAuth 2. Everything else looks exactly the same as it would with any fast MCP server that you can get out of the box. So I'll start this up. Cool. And now we've got all those tools like book flight, cancel booking, check in for flight, search flights. And you'll see that there are some of these that are missing. And the reason for that is when you're building tools for an AI to take action, again, I'll say this, an AI agent should not be talking to just an API. It should be taking action. And sometimes an action requires multiple API calls, right? You should search for your flight and then book, or check in after you find out what flight I'm already booked for, right? So that's how we created these tools. Now I'm going to add this directly into my, let's see what, yep. I'm going to add this directly into Cursor. Now Cursor has access to it. And I'm going to say, I don't know, I'm from San Francisco. I'm a New Yorker though. I will say that. I'm from the Bronx. But I will ask it to book me a flight to San Francisco. And it knows that it has access to these tools. And it's asking me where am I flying from, when would I like to travel. So I'm just going to say, flying from NYC JFK, anytime after today, the 15th. And it's going to call that tool. It's going to search for flights from JFK to SFO. It found one. It found a couple, actually. And it's going to give me these 3 available flights. Now, this is great, and I can continue down this route with this very simple API, but this doesn't really help me because this AI agent doesn't really have context into my life. It doesn't know when I'm available. It doesn't know if my boss, who's sitting in the front row, has emailed me saying, you got to be on this call, Shub. So I want to give it all of this context. How do I do that? With Arcade, it's very simple. We create this thing called an MCP gateway. So the way that this works is that server that I have running locally on my machine, I can serve it directly with Arcade. So I've got this right here, right? Yep. And I'm going to add it directly to Arcade. Now I could deploy it directly to Arcade, but I'm just pointing the Arcade engine to it. And now Arcade has access to all of those flight tools as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a collection or a gateway of MCP servers so that I can give my AI agent, any AI agent that is also an MCP client, access to all the knowledge that it needs to book the flight correctly. So I'm going to call this, I don't know, I'll call it flights. And with Arcade, what I can do is I'm going to pick that flights server. I'm also going to give it access to Gmail. I'm going to give it access to my calendar, if I can find it here. Calendar, and then I'm going to give it access to Slack. Now, we've got thousands of tools that are built out, and then thousands of MCP servers. You can also bring your own, just like I showed you. Now, these are 55 tools. I'm going to create this MCP gateway. It's called flights, really, really simple. And I'm going to add this to Cursor now, just like I did previously. This is correct. Nice. I was thinking ahead what I was going to call it. And now, if I go back to Cursor settings, we'll see, a second here, hopefully, that Cursor has access to all of these 55 tools and resources. There we go. Now, Cursor has access to all of those tools that I just gave it access to, like Slack, my Gmail, and so on, right? And the flights API. This is really cool, right? Now, my coding agent that I just have, like Cursor, can become my personal assistant as well. I don't need to build another AI agent on top of it just because I'm about to give Cursor some really good tools for it to use. So I can say, actually, check my calendar and tell me what the best times for me to take the flight would be. I haven't tested this, so this would be fun. And it's going to use the Google Calendar tool to know first who I am, right, to Google. Just like we did before, Google is going to ask me to authorize, right? So I'm going to click this button here, authorize with Google. And we'll see that I've got a token for Google now too. And I can tell it to continue. It's going to find my calendar events for those certain dates. It knows where I'm going to be in those times. It knows when I'm booked, when I'm not booked, when I have these sessions, and when I'm going on this sunset cruise. Oh, I should have maybe used a different calendar. But that is okay. But now what we're really seeing here is the flexibility of bringing together an AI agent that you already have out of the box, right? Like Cursor, Cloud Code, ChatGPT, and giving it access to these really good tools that you already have access to through Arcade. And Arcade takes care of the complexity. We take care of the auth for you. We make sure the tools are really good. We make sure that you're secure. We make sure that when you delegate access to an AI agent, that's not just going to roam free with your access. That's only going to do the things that that you've given it access to. And that's it. And just like that, Cursor just became my flight booker out of the box. That's it. Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much, Shub. That was an awesome demo. Maybe a round of applause for Shmiti and Shub.
Thank you, guys.